What's up YouTube, this is Bystander X79 guys. Today I'm coming to you with my latest deck profile video for April 2021. And today guys, we're going to be looking at my updated Volcanic deck. I can't tell you right now, I love playing Volcanic, especially when I'm kind of getting a little bored. This is a great pickup deck. Just basically, it emulates volcanoes very well, builds pressure over the course of the duel, and then when your opponent lets it spend it, it just explodes, destroying all their monsters, hitting them with effect damage, getting those life points down, and just allowing you to do that extra amount of damage to get to the wins. I can tell you right now, with the way I built this deck, it can get started a little bit easier, and it has a few other twists in there as well that can really throw your opponent off their game. So let's get right to it. First and foremost, we got the in-deck boss monster, 2 copies of Volcanic Doomfire. Very awesome card. You get this card onto the field by sending a Blaze Accelerator card from your field to the graveyard. And from there, you special summon him to the field. While he's in the field, your opponent is not allowed to attack any of your other monsters except for him, which is great because you can actually use him to protect a lot of your smaller monsters. And there are a few monsters you want to be protecting in this regard. This guy destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard. You're destroying all the other monsters on your opponent's field and hitting your opponent with effect damage of 500 points per monster sent via this effect. Very awesome. Great level of protection. 3k beach stick. Definitely a must in this deck. Next up, 3 copies of Volcanic Rocket. On its summon, you get to search your deck for a Blaze Accelerator card to add to your hand, which is very awesome. You want to be getting your Blaze Accelerator reload into your hand, onto your field as soon as possible, because that single card helps this deck get going. 1900 attack for a level 4 monster, very awesome as well. Okay, and the card you want to be sending the most off of Blaze Accelerator Reload is basically going to be Volcanic Scattershot. Blaze Accelerator Reload counts as a Tri-Blaze Accelerator, so because of that, whenever you send this card to the graveyard via a Tri-Blaze Accelerator effect, its effect activates, allowing you to send 2 other Scattershots to the graveyard, and then basically that destroys all your opponent's monsters on their board, hits them with 500 points of effect damage per Scattershot, which is 1500 total, which is very awesome. And the best part about it is with the way this deck is built, you're going to be able to recycle these cards back into your deck and utilize this effect multiple times during the course of the duel. Next up, we got 3 copies of Volcanic Shell. Volcanic Shell, primary discard fodder for your Volcanic archetype. While this card's in the graveyard, you pay 500 life points to search your deck for another one. Very awesome. Keeping the extra draws going off of Blaze Accelerator Reload is very useful. Next up, 2 copies of Royal Firestorm Guardian. On its normal summon, you're selecting 4 Pyro-type monsters to shuffle back into your deck, and then you draw 2 cards. Basically a walking Pot of Avarice. Very cool. Necessary for this deck to get your Scattershots back in there. Next up, and this is the one of the newest additions to this deck, 2 copies of Lavable Magma Cannoneer. For me, when I was researching level 4 fire pyro monsters to put into this deck, 2 cards came up, and it was either Volcanic Slicer or this card. And the thing about Volcanic Slicer is that even though it has similar attack level and attribute, the effect basically makes you utilize the effect or attack. You don't get both. Cannoneer, you get both. You can use this effect and attack in the same turn. Not only that, but you can use this effect up to twice per turn. So if the first time it gets negated and it's still on the board, you can always use it again. Get that extra little 500 points of damage on your opponent. So yeah, up to 2 times, up to 1000 attack, or 1000 damage to your opponent, which is actually pretty good. And last but not least, we have 2 copies of Barrier Statue of the Infernos. This basically locks both players into special summoning fire type attributes. If you look at the main deck, pretty much all you have is fire attributes, so yeah, you're not going to really have an issue with this card being out on the field, and that's primary reason why you want to have Volcanic Doomfire alongside of it, just to give that little extra protection. And I can tell you right now, definitely worth having, because if you look at the meta right now, there really isn't any fire decks out there. So yeah, you get this guy on the field, your opponent ain't gonna be able to special summon anything. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, we got Foolish Burial and 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods. You need to be running these cards. You're not running Volcanics without these cards. Foolish Burial can help you get a shell into the graveyard so you can start thinning out your deck. Foolish Burial Goods is primarily in there to get Blaze Accelerator reload into the graveyard because it does have a graveyard effect. So, this loading your graveyard and being able to utilize various effects during the course of your duel, very awesome. Next up, we do run, this is a back row heavy deck, and so what we do is we run 3 copies of Magic Planter. The majority of the traps are continuous spells, so Magic Planter can allow you to clear out your back row a little bit, so you can play a little bit more freely during your turns, and you get additional draws, which is very good. Just for a little extra draw power, we have 2 copies of Pot of Extravagance. The majority of the extra deck is fodder for this card. Really, with 3 copies of Magic Planter, all you really need is 2 copies of this guy, so not bad. There's also a lot of other draw power in this deck anyway, so moving forward, in the last card, if you haven't already noticed, we have 3 copies of Ties of the Brethren. Ties of the Brethren basically is a great turn 1 card. You normal summon out your Volcanic Rocket or Cannoneer. You drop this guy. You can special summon out from your deck your Barrier Statue as well as your Rocket or any other level 4 Pyro monster. You don't want to be special summoning Guardians off this, primarily because its effect is only normal. But I can tell you right now, you get your board built and you're able to do things for there. You have to give up your battle phase, but then again, using this on turn 1, that really doesn't matter. So yeah, very good card to help you get started, get the field up, and hold your opponent down. Moving on, this deck does run a lot of back row, and we are going to be running 3 copies of Blaze Accelerator Reload. What can I say? This is the card you want to be searching and utilizing during the course of both players' turns, because during both players' turns, you send a fire attribute monster from your hand to the graveyard. You're drawing a card. Like I said, you can use it on both yours and your opponent's turn, which is awesome. It has an Ingrate effect, which allows you to banish it from the graveyard and basically send your Scatter Shot to your graveyard from your deck and basically blow your opponent's field. So they have to be very wary of either you having a Scatter Shot in your hand or this card in the graveyard with Scatter Shot still in your deck. Moving forward, we have 2 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. Just a great generic card. A lot of spells in the current meta are just extenders, and forcing your opponent to have to set the spells face down and wait for turn before using them, it just hurts. Next up, we have 2 copies of Mistake. Mistake prevents your opponent from searching. Pretty much all decks do this, so stopping them from being able to search and get to their pieces, yeah, it also slows them down. And last but not least, since we do have a lot of combo decks out there, we have Summon Limit, which basically forces both players to only summon twice per turn. Not an issue for this deck because you want to play slow, and just holding your opponent down like this, it hurts so bad. And the best part about this and the other 2 traps I just showed you is you can just play around with the ratios a little bit to fit the deck more to your taste. I like running 2, 2, and 2 just to be able to cover all aspects of most decks, because most decks do use all those aspects, like I said. Last but not least, we have 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Counter trap card, you pay half your life points, and you're basically negating a summon, a spell, or the trap activation, which is just awesome. Say no to your opponent, and basically stop them cold. That's it for the main deck. 40 cards. On to the extra. First up, we have the links. We have Doolittle Chimera. I think this is straightforward. Get this guy in the field, it power boosts all your fire dripping monsters by 500 attack, and that can be actually very useful, especially with Volcanic Doomfire on the field. I know some cards your opponent can put out can get over 3,000 pretty easy, so you need that extra little attack boost. Also, if this guy ever gets popped, you're getting a fire tribute monster back from your graveyard, so it does come in handy for this deck. I also run Hita. Bringing out Hita is actually very easy in this deck, and not only that, but when she hits the field, you can go into your opponent's graveyard and steal one of their fire attribute monsters. The main fire attribute monster that a lot of people are running right now is Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom just happens to be a level 3 tuner, and if you could buy that with one of your level 4 monsters, you could actually bring out, yeah, Black Rose Dragon. What's one more board nuke in a deck full of board nukes? A little cheesy play here, but you know what? It works. Next up, we have Nightmare Phoenix. Discard a card, pop back row, which is actually very useful. And this one, I was looking through my Lick monsters, and this one kind of surprised me. Power Core Talker is actually very useful in this deck. All it requires is 3 monsters. Doesn't require any particular attributes, just 3 monsters, which is awesome. Has a once per turn effect where you can basically target one monster on the field and negate its effects till the end of the turn, which is huge. And then during battle phase, you can actually tribute off a monster it points to and double its attack. Its attack is right now 2,300, so you could go up to 46. And I can tell you right now, that's actually pretty good. Can help you get over some tough monsters and cause problems for your opponent. So definitely worth having in the extra. And of course, some other generic links. We got IP Masquerena. Great generic, can link someone during your opponent's turn. We have Nightmare Unicorn to spin cards off your opponent's field. And I like playing the link for Borrowload Dragon primarily just to steal your opponent's monsters and help get extra damage on your board so you can win. For rank 4 plays, because this deck likes its level 4 fire types, we have number 60 Dugaras. I really couldn't find that many good rank 4 fire attributes to play in this deck, but Dugaras is the best. Basically, by giving up certain parts of your following turn, you can actually get certain things now. You basically can detach a material, give up the next draw phase, you get to draw a card now. You can give up the next battle, your next main phase, get a monster out of your graveyard in defense mode, which is great because you can actually get back maybe the fire statue of the Infernos, or the barrier statue of the Infernos. And the last one is basically you could actually use a material to double the attack of a monster. So imagine this guy with something like Power Code on the field. You use this guy to double Power Code's attack, and then you use Power Code to tribute this guy off, and all of a sudden Power Code's up to 9,200 attacks. So yeah. Okay, we got Abyss Dweller. They're all graveyard-centric decks, and this guy can just shut down effects in the graveyard. So worth running in your extra. Like also Emerald allows you to recycle your cards back into your deck, get additional draws. Very useful. Number 41, Babushka. That's in there for Storm. We got Tornado Dragon to help with back row heavy decks. And last but not least, I have the Utopia package to basically round out the rank 4 plays and to help give you an additional win con coming out of your extra deck, which is actually pretty awesome. Guys, this is it for my Volcanic deck for April 2021. I do hope you enjoy it. As always, with any videos you watch on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't, ring that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads. Check out the description box below. Find the links to my affiliates, SideDeckVersus.com as well as TCGplay.com. SideDeckVersus.com, very awesome website, helps you build side decks to help compete against various decks you'll be seeing in the meta. And not only that, if you want to be going to more physical events, whether it be remote duels or even locals, hit up my TCG Player affiliate link, help support the channel, get the cards you need. As always, guys, also check out my Discord, join the conversation, we'll love to have you. And until next time, peace!